An Indiana family buys a motel and moves in, only to find every room is already occupied by ghosts. A stern Texas man creates problems for those around him until a violent accident ends his life. But he returns, determined to carry a message from the other side.
Reaching out from the world that lies beyond, they glide through the portals of our imagination. They shouldn't even exist. Yet they've been seen appearing in the wink of an eye and vanishing in the pound of a heartbeat. Where they come from, what they want, only they know. They are beyond life, beyond death, and to some of us, beyond belief. But you are about to meet ordinary men and women who claim to have witnessed them, walked with them, even embraced them. Ordinary people who tell true stories of haunted lives. Through the ages, many people have reported encounters with the ghosts of family members. Some experience joy at seeing a loved one a few last times. Most simply feel cold, stark terror. In a small town near Dallas, Texas, the extended family of Bob Clanton lived together and did their best to get by. It wasn't a peaceful home, and it wasn't a ghost disturbing their peace. It was Bob Clanton himself, a hot-tempered, obstinate man. He made his own rules and expected everyone else to obey.
I do a good job on these shells? Old man Kern said he might have some more work for me.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's see. Oh, geez, Rick, these things ain't gonna hold a load of books unless you think old man Kern has a collection of porcelain dogs like your brother Tim.
No, sir, it'll hold. I just have to strap the corners, that's all.
Doing this for your own good, Ricky. When you build them right, you get more work.
You didn't have to do that.
You know something? You build your shelves any way you damn feel like. I'm going down the road, going to get a couple of beers. You can tell your mom, tell her I had to go to the plant early. Unless you want to come too. You tell your wife we had to go get some supplies. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Hey, Dad. Hey, little buddy. Come here, you. How you doing, huh? Hey, just wanted to come out and see what you two were up to.
Now, whoa! Now, he can go play in the barn, but I don't want him in this workshop. You know, he gets into everything.
Come on, Dad. He's just a little kid.
Ricky, you do what I tell you. Unless you want to find a shop of your own.
Clanton stirred up trouble wherever he went. According to his son Rick, union leaders at his plant sent 2 co-workers to talk some sense into him.
How you doing, Clanton?
Cindy, go adjust your pantyhose. Now, Cindy.
You've been putting your nose where it don't belong, Clanton. Me and the others, we ain't too happy about that.
Ask me if I care. You're supposed to be representing the workers. Yeah, if they only knew. If they only knew.
You just don't take a hint, do you, Clanton?
Not from slobs like you.
On April 3rd, 1989, Bob Clanton was riding home from work, taking his usual route. He made one unscheduled stop. family soon discovered how difficult it would be to put Bob Clanton to rest.
Rick, Mom, it was my father's eyes. We tried to close them, but they kept opening on their own. Close them? There was nothing we could do about it.
Bob Clanton was buried, but he was hardly ready to rest in peace.
Tim? Why? Tim, is that you fooling around?
I know why.
I died. I know.
Who is there? What do you want?
Died. I know why. I
know why I died.
You ain't supposed to be.
Clanton appeared several times to various family members. It was unanimous. He was no longer welcome.
Look, I am telling you, we need professional help. A psychic. Otherwise, the old man's going to make life more miserable for us now than when he was alive.
Mama. Jackie, you take Christopher and me and give him something to eat.
Tim. Come on, it's not quite that simple. He wants something from us. Like what? I don't know. This is unbelievable. You know, even when he's dead, you are still trying to please him.
There's no way we can get him to move on.
Rick tried to keep alive the notion that his father might be murdered at a dead end, and the assistant county prosecutor pursued the case for lack of evidence.
I felt like I was letting him down. And frankly, I was a little afraid of what he might do to us. All right, sorry, our problem's not about to bring in some outsider just gonna sit around and talk small talk with him. He's tormenting us, don't you see that?
Yeah.
Rick looking for the source of the problem, though he had a pretty good idea of what it was.
You leave it alone.
After the incident under the house, the family finally agreed they needed time to have a talk with Bob Clanton.
Well, we don't really want to talk to him. We just want him gone.
But know that. Here you heard him.
Oh, no, ma'am. I heard him all right.
Communication with the spirit world is difficult. He's trying to send a message. Maybe you haven't understood it. Let's class pass. Your mind blank. I feel something. Pain. Great pain.
What do you want?
All pain he brought on people in his life. It's come back to him.
I know why I died. I know why I died. I'm so sorry.
and he and Christopher have had the most contact with the ghost of Bob Clanton. Rick has seen him several times, and Chris has actually spoken with his grandfather on many occasions. Bob Clanton's other son, Tim, named Dwana with the help of her partner, Carol Williams. All agree that Clanton had plenty of unfinished business and wasn't ready to die.
Kept on cutting the wood, and then I hear Rick again, and it's a little bit louder. So the third time I turn around, and then there my father was. I seen him, he was full figure, and I didn't pay no attention to it, so I just went on in, and once I got into the bathroom, it just came to my mind. I was sitting there, well, he's sitting on that couch, but he couldn't be.
I was awake, then I saw him by my grandma's side of her bed. Then he was talking to her, but she was asleep, and he didn't see me awake. He was standing on the ground and was saying, "I wish I could still be alive with her," and he missed her.
The family, before we arrived on the scene, were really frightened. They were terrified. They didn't understand why their father was appearing to them since he was already dead.
I looked, and then it was like a kind of a glow. And when I looked over there into the corner, my father had appeared, but he wasn't standing or anything. It was levitated, and he was up right at the rafters.
Well, we all have free will choice. Spirit has free will choice. So all we can do is convince them or try to convince them that there is a better place. If they're stuck, they need to move on to a higher place, a learning place, rather than stick around. And sometimes they refuse to go. Sometimes.
Why did Bob Clanton refuse to go? Rick still believes he has the answer.
He believes that he was deliberately killed, and so he came back so that we can find out who really killed him and get justice. He was always wanting things his way when he was alive, and he was always wanting to be in charge and take charge of everything that would go on. And basically it's the same thing after he's died. Of course, he's still wanting things his way. Now, I think that one of the main reasons he came back was to apologize to my mother for some of the problems that he's caused her, and to apologize for the women that he went around with.
There were things left unsaid, things undone, unfinished. The fact that he never said goodbye to the family, that he felt as if he needed to sort of finish that emotional side, that anger he had with them, to resolve a lot of things that were not resolved between them. And as he said to us from the spirit side, is they told me I had to get things straightened out on this side before I can move on.
A supernatural force terrorizes a young couple when Haunted Lives returns. When a landlord found tenants for his house for rent in a quiet neighborhood in the San Fernando Valley near Los Angeles, he didn't know one very important thing about his property. It was already occupied. Tenants rarely stayed more than a week. Some left after only one night. They reported seeing shadows and hearing strange noises. Some even said it was haunted. The landlord didn't believe them. He just returned their checks and placed new ads in the paper. After all, the rent was reasonable and the house was beautiful. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, pool, spa, and a spacious kitchen. The classified ad the Mathesons answered left out the one truly special feature the house had to offer: a relentless evil presence.
What did I do to deserve all of this?
You bought the patio furniture.
Oh. Well, what do I get for buying the 4-poster bed?
Don't push your luck.
What is it? What happened?
What does it look like? Would it kill you to help me clear the dishes?
Well, I'd be glad to help. I just Rita, behind you.
You're always glad to help when the work is done, aren't you? And when there's something to do, where the hell are you? See how much work it takes to keep up a house like this? When was the last time you ever did anything, ever?
Hey, I pay for this house. While you're sitting in your stupid art class, I'm out there busting my butt to buy you apples to sketch.
I do the cooking. I do the cleaning. I do everything.
For $50 a week, I could get a girl to do twice the work in half the time without all the bitching.
The Mathesons patched things up quickly, but their truce was short-lived. They couldn't understand how their relationship could have deteriorated so quickly.
Maybe we weren't meant to live together.
Do you believe that?
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't want to lose you.
Hey, that's better. Come here. What's wrong? Neither does...
I didn't. I was just...
Always pointing a finger. One of these days I'm gonna cut it off.
Hey, hey. Hey, wait a minute.
Something's wrong. I'll say something wrong. Crap, I'm gonna... You think this is a mess? A bloody mess. Blood and death. And pointed fingers everywhere.
Honey, don't let it do this to us.
No more art. No more complaints. No more blame.
You are more to me than anything. Every day I'm with you, I love you more. Come on, honey, please, just hold me. Please. I can't let it be. Get the door!
Kyle and Rita Matheson went to the hospital and never returned to this house. They are attempting to recover physically and emotionally from their ordeal. Even today, 2 years later, they agree to speak only if their appearance is concealed.
The other things that happened to me, in addition to a fractured jaw, was my nose was broken right here. There was a break in my eye socket. There was some damage to the ligaments in my eye, so my eye now kind of hangs a little lower on this side than it does on the other side. It's not very noticeable, but not like my nose. But on this side, my tooth here was cracked down below my gum line down to the root, so they had to, that's all gone now.
Desperately trying to understand what had happened, they contacted Christopher Chacon of the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research. Chacon and a team of investigators spent 16 months trying to find out just what had gone on in the Van Nuys house.
One of the initial steps in our investigation was to set instrumentation inside the house, again to try to basically get a baseline, a correlation of normal phenomena and abnormal phenomena in the environment.
Chacon and his team found a high level of unusual activity. This is actual footage of his investigation.
Now here, this is again an unmanned camera which was static, set up for 72 hours. At the other end as well is another camera with a microwave imaging system. Now if you look off to the right side of the hallway, we pick up a distortion, or commonly a shadow. It's moving down the hallway, and there it is now crossing farther down the hallway. It's moving downward, and as it enters the threshold of the door, we suddenly see the door in the back. It is responding to movement. Now, the unusual thing is we also are monitoring basically the general environment of the house. There are no brushes of air. There is no doors, windows open. All the door jambs are level and even. These doors would not be swinging normally. And the equipment is, again, beginning to monitor more as both of these doors move. Now, at this point, we have an unmanned static camera, night vision. Nobody is in the house for another 72-hour period. As we pick up the movement, as you see the roll of tape going across the floor, and then the case and the helmet movement as well. What's going to take place is basically some of the most remarkable footage that we've documented during the first beginning of this investigation. As you can see in a moment, doors and drawers, cabinets are moving. Our other instrumentation did pick up fluctuations taking place in the environment, background radiation fluctuations, electrostatic fields. In a moment, the vibration that's taking place, or the phenomena, we should say, is moving across the kitchen toward the camera. Now it's affecting the camera. We speculate on that because what you're seeing is an effect on the magnetic tape itself, and the fluctuations are continuing. After this was over, when we found the camera, it was severely damaged.
We couldn't walk by each other without feeling this extreme anger toward one another, and there really might not have been anything specific that happened. There was a look that came over his face that was so terrifying to me, as though he could have walked into the kitchen and grabbed a knife and stabbed me to death.
I could not say a civil word to anyone in my family.
And when we'd leave the house, we would feel completely differently, almost instantly. The feeling of hostility was gone.
There are hauntings that take place all across the country, all over the world, and for the most part, they're harmless. And many people find them as being fun, actually, to have that type of phenomena around. But when you have a situation which is hostile and which can actually cause harm to the occupants, my advice to them is very simple. Simply get out.
If the spirits are angry and don't want you in that home, there isn't anything you're going to be able to do.
There's nothing like someone going through an experience with you to make you close with that person. People say it happens in war. This was like a war.
Next, a family falls in love with their new home, but the feeling isn't mutual. When Doretta and Ron Johnson found the motel in Madison, Indiana, they knew it was the perfect place to raise their kids, Stephen and Ashley, and to finally open the daycare center they always wanted. The old motel was going to be their dream house. It turned out to be their worst nightmare.
How come you can't admit that this place is absolutely perfect?
Because it's $64,000. Why are we even looking at it, Doretta?
The real estate market is real bad right now.
Not that bad. Look, I just don't want to get too excited over something I know we'll never be able to afford.
I get the pink room.
Give me one of the bungalows for my bedroom. Never hear my stereo.
That would be worth whatever it costs.
Our absolute limit is $25,000. I can't believe she went for it.
Sometimes dreams do come true.
Ashley, what's wrong? Are you okay?
He's hurting her.
No, what? No, it's just a bad dream.
I heard him hurting her.
Oh, no, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. It's just the house settling. Yeah, it's kind of like it's saying hello. Okay? Okay. It's okay. Why don't you lie down here and try to get some sleep, okay? Yeah, I see. See you tomorrow morning.
We could give him a cottage in Utah. We'd still hear his stereo.
Well, she's finally asleep.
Anything wrong?
No, she's just a little nervous, you know. First night in a new house, jitters. Oh. Look, I have a small case of it myself. Don't you think you laid it on just a little thick at Grandma's?
Those noises in the attic could have been rotting mummies from hell, waking from years of cursed sleep. Or it could be alien embryos mutating in our crawl space.
Or it could be the wind.
You have no imagination, Mom.
Ashley does. And next time you make up these ridiculous stories, don't tell any of them around her. Or else you're going to have to stay up with her next time when she's up all night screaming. I mean, you're going to have to tell her that there's no such thing as...
You were saying, Dad?
Don't make too much of this. Some birds flew in, hit the walls, that's all.
Yeah. That's what they said in the birds. You know what happened to them.
That's enough, Stephen. Ron, take Ashley up to bed. Steve and I will start cleaning up. Steve was just kidding, honey. There weren't any ghosts.
What about the lights? Steve says the ghosts were mad.
Well, Stephen was confused. But I think being grounded for a week will help him see things more clearly. It's an old motel, honey. And the wiring needs to be fixed. It's like when your talking doll needs new batteries. Hey, what did you draw?
A mommy, daddy, and a little girl.
Oh, what about a big brother who tells his little sister too many scary In there. Go look.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I can feel the evil here. It's like a chill in the air.
It is a chill in the air. Thermostat's busted.
Stephen, unfortunately, this is all I can do. The rest is up to you.
We appreciate it, Father.
If I were you, I would check out the history of this house, but that's not all I would do.
Another blessing?
I would get the hell out.
Don't you think we should say something before Mom brings the kids back?
Say what? The priest was right. We can't leave.
We can't have our family live.
We can't have our family living on the street. And if we leave, that's where we go. Every penny we've got is in this place.
So we sell it.
I already talked to Realtor. Word's gotten out about our problems. I couldn't get enough to pay off the mortgage.
If a guy drowned his daughter here, we should have been told.
And would that have made a difference? I feel like a failure.
Oh, come on, honey. It's not your fault.
Here, I thought I was this brilliant negotiator. Now I find out I'm just another sucker.
But you're my sucker. I love you.
Mommy, I'm cold.
Are you crazy?
No, it's just a little girl. She's scared.
Let her join the club.
Maybe if we help her, she'll leave us alone.
The Johnsons couldn't afford to leave, and they couldn't afford not to fight back. They contacted parapsychologists at the university who were intrigued by their story. Their initial theory, a magnetic field caused by the intersection of 3 power lines above the house, was the catalyst for the evil within. A team of experts would be arriving at daybreak.
The kids are finally asleep. I'm glad someone can rest in this house. Thank God the parapsychologists believed us. I was beginning to think I was losing my mind.
It's gonna be nice to turn the tables. Let's just see how the thing in this house likes being scared for a red hot.
Today, the Johnsons are still trying to cope with their haunted lives.
It's your worst nightmare. There's nothing that can hurt a mother worse than to see her children bitten and hit. And, you know, they look to you and they scream, help me, and there's nothing you can do. I got really mad and I screamed out, and I just said, bite me, not her. And I just threw myself on top of her and was screaming for it to stop. And I could feel my arms, I had my arms on top of hers. And I could feel her arms underneath mine, and they were depressing. I could feel it biting her. And when I raised my arms up, there was just these horrible bite marks all up and down her arms, and she was screaming and begging me to make it stop, and I couldn't. There's no way I could make it stop.
It's one thing when I've got somebody I can actually see standing in front of me, I can fight. But when you can't see nothing, but you see indentions or bite marks and whelps and bruises all over your children, you know, and you see them being put there, but there's nothing there. You know, it's like, what do you do?
The attacks on the family continued.
But I'd wake up with bruises, and Mom and Dad thought that somebody was beating me. I'd find bruises on my back, on my shoulders, on my chest, pretty much almost everywhere.
I put him to bed, and that night I felt real uncomfortable, and so I slept in their room with him, and I slept on the floor. And when I woke the next morning, Ashley was standing over top of me, and she was straddled over my neck, and she had this huge butcher knife and had it shoved into my mouth. And when the blade of the knife, metal braces, and it had got into the brace in my mouth, and it had stopped it. And what was the most strange thing about it was when I looked up at her, her eyes were wide open, and she had both little hands wrapped around the handle of this knife, shoving it. I mean, you could feel the force pushing on it into my throat. And when I reached up and pulled it away from her like that, I mean, it was just the strangest look on her face. It was as if she had been asleep and just been woke up, and she started screaming and crying.
When the Johnsons moved, they thought they were safe, but they were followed.
So we packed everything up and moved totally, probably about 100 miles away. And when we first got there, things were back to normal. But we were there probably 3 weeks, maybe a month, and things started happening at the house again.
It was there. One of them were there. Other people saw it tearing my apartment up. Ashley almost died in a weird hanging. I mean, it couldn't be explained. He couldn't run. He couldn't get away.
The Johnsons finally stopped running. They moved back to the house. They intend to fight and win.
People kept saying, well, how can you go back? There was no other choice. I had to go back to see if I can find the answers to stop the violence, to stop, you know, the anger, whatever's making it attach itself to us and follow us. It's like a standoff. I'm here, and it's there. And at some point, you know, we've got to figure out how to handle the situation between us and it.
Tonight we've seen 3 very different kinds of ghost stories. What compels these haunting events? Why do ordinary men and women experience such extraordinary things? All we know for certain is that there are many other tales to be told. Strange tales of haunted lives.
The Seattle Times describes Picket Fences as what may be the best new drama of the season, and Newsweek magazine calls it the best series. You'll find out what's behind Picket Fences Friday. Now get ready for an all-new 48 Hours next.